All right. How we doing? How we doing, everybody? Or what do you want to get? What do y'all want to get into today? Ha! Because I heard it all the way from up here. All right. I'm just waiting to get some people in here so we can talk about some football, some soccer, if you would. All right. All right. So, how we all doing today? If you guys are in here, make sure you guys leave a like. And obviously, feel free to leave a question if you have one in the stream. Always appreciate it in the chat. Where is it? Hold on. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys go watch the video that I posted on YouTube today. Or no, not today. Yesterday. 5 offensive players that I think will break out in the 2023 NFL season. Go watch that video, obviously. Pin that to the channel. Let's wait until we get some people in here. How's everybody doing, though? And what do you guys want to talk about? Always make sure you guys leave something in the chat. You know, like to have an open conversation. Just want to talk about some football. And obviously, go check out that pinned comment. It's my video that I posted yesterday. Doing pretty all right. But how is everybody doing? You know. All right. So, what were we talking about yesterday, though? All right. Well, I guess let's just get into this stream. So, what was I talking about yesterday? I was talking about I remember I was on offensive tackles before I got distracted and we started talking about other stuff. But obviously yesterday, if you were in here, I was talking about my 2024 NFL big board. And I did something like this last year. If you guys, whoever's in here, if you guys saw that. I remember I was on tackles before. But, what was I talking about? I think I was talking about Olu Fasano before I got interrupted. But, yeah. Offense tackle class is something that I really like for the 2024 NFL draft. So, if you guys got any questions about the 2024 NFL draft, I'll be happy to answer, of course. But, offensive tackle class, I like a lot. And the guard class, I don't like quite a bit. There's some discussions about certain offensive tackles, two in which Connor BB and Colby Connor, two offensive tackles in 2023 that transitioned into interior lineman positions. Cooper BB out of Kansas State moved to interior offensive line after the 2023 NFL season, and then Colby Connor listed at guard I think he was listed at what, right guard? No, left guard out of Iowa, but he also is listed on a lot of mock drafts as a tackle. But I like the tackle class. Offensive line is all right this year. Joe Alt is a very good prospect. I mentioned him in last stream. Olu Fasano, JC Latham, who these guys all didn't allow one sack, but Joe Alt and Olu Fasano allowed less than 10 pressures in total. Kingsley Suamatai, another really solid offensive tackle at BYU who has flexibility on both sides. Graham Burton, Armias Mims. What the hell? What, I don't know. I just got a text for some reason. What? All right. I just got a spam message on my phone. Anyways, Graham Burton, solid. Armias Mims, right tackle out of Georgia. I have him going in like the third round. Artemis Mims is also another good guy. I think he allowed less than Where's his PFF stats? I'm pretty sure he allowed, what, 1 sack in 2021? Or in 2022? Where? Oh. Blocking stats. Looking like he allowed 0 sacks, only 4 pressures. So another very solid offensive lineman. Got some good size to it, 6'7", 330 pounds. And then Joe Morum, offensive tackle, USC. USC is going to have a very good year. And then Zion Nelson, who was mocked as first rounder in 2023 before falling off. Didn't have a good year in 2022. And also was injured for a tiny bit. I'll pull up his blocking stats. Injured for a lot, and then he didn't allow a sack technically, but coming off from a decent 2021 season where he allowed 3 sacks, 15 pressures, and was very solid as a pass blocker. Just the injury hit him after week 3 out for the season, but he'll have a full season in 2023, hopefully. And he was my last offensive tackle on my current big board. The one thing I'll say is, though, the guard class, not the biggest fan. You have Donathan Jackson, who is my #1 guard in the nation. Colby Connor, I've already talked about a tiny bit. Just big tackles that moved into guard, both over 6'6", and both over 310 pounds, something like that. Oh my God, my fucking Google Docs. Yeah. Kirby BB, 6'4", 230, 322 pounds. Colby Connor, 6'6", 308, offensive tackle, or tackle guard. And then Christian Montgomery out of Boston College. And then I have Bukes Limmer. And then Layden Robinson and Tate Ratledge. It's an alright guard class of now. I project maybe 1, or maybe right now 3 first or second rounders, and then that's kind of it. Unless one of the guards has a very solid 2023 NFL season, we might see new All-Americans, but I think Donathan Jackson repeats as an All-American. And then the center class, for me, is really Cedric Van Pran out of Georgia. Phenomenal run blocker, all-around guy. Show you guys his stats. He allowed 0 sacks, only 12 pressures on 11 hurries. Graded all right, better as a pass blocker in his entire career in 2021 and 2022. And then you have Bryce Foster, Zach Frazier, and then Drake Nugget. I have Bryce Foster as a 3rd-round grade, Frazier at the 4th, and then Nugget as a 5th rounder. And then moving on to edge, like edge a lot with Jared Verse, Braylon Trice, Zui Tupula Fatui. It's hard to pronounce his name a little bit. And then Cedric Johnson. We've got JT Tua Malau in there as my number 2 edge rusher on my board. Jared Verse obviously at 1, very technically sound. However, isn't the most athletic edge rusher in the class. I don't see too many freak athletes in this class outside of maybe Chop Robinson and then Leiatu Latu. But Jared Verse technically sound and is also good against the run. Sorry about that. JT Tuamalau. The thing without him is he's not very consistent. He'll have games where he'll have 0 pressures or like 1 pressure, but then he'll have games where Tuamalau. There he is. Where is he? JT Tumalao. He'll have games where he'll pop off and, look like one of the best players in college football. And then I'll have games where it's like, oh, he's kind of a non-factor. But at 6'4", 272 pounds listed, he is going to be a 3-4 defensive end. In the NFL level, I project... Why the fuck is this not... So, like, in some of these games, he'll be a non-factor. Like, he'll have one solo tackle every couple of games. But then then he'll pop off, like this game against PSU, where he had one forced fumble, recovered that fumble, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, forced fumble, 1 pass deflection, and then 1 touchdown. He'll have crazy games like that. But then he'll have games like against Georgia where he'll have nothing. But the one thing about him I like a lot is his pass deflections. He deflects a lot of passes, jumps to the ball a lot. And then Dallas Turner, I also have. I've him decently high. The problem with Dallas Turner that I have is he could be negated on blocks. He doesn't play the run extremely well at all. But the thing with Dallas Turner is great pass rusher, great speed and bend off the edge, but like I've seen him not be very effective against the run play. But his pass blocking or his pass pressures are good, as he had 35 in 2022, a step up from his 19 in his freshman season where he was a freshman All-American, but. Kind of when he gets double teamed, he can get blown up on runs. He's a good size for an outside linebacker. Would like to see him gain a little more weight. Not super thin for his position either at 240 pounds, but pretty good. Leiatu Latu. I like Leiatu Latu a lot. The thing he had double-digit sacks. In 2022, he had 10 and a half? Yeah. He had 10 and a half sacks, 11 listed for PFF, 52 total pressures, a 90.0 pass rushing grade. Multiple games. Had this game against Alabama State, where he had 9 total pressures, 2 sacks. Had a 3-sack game against Colorado. Had a 2-sack game against USC. And had a 2-sack game against Stanford, where he had +5 pressures in multiple games. As a pure pass rusher, Leiatu Latu is one of the best, but there are 2 major issues with him. His not the greatest, he has a major neck. He had a major neck injury in 2021 or 2020. He had a neck surgery. As you can see, he played in 2019. He played for Washington, and he didn't play super much. He didn't play a lot. Got hurt with a neck injury. He missed 2 years. Was on a medical red shirt, and then he came back in 2022. Transferred to UCLA, and then he became basically a rusher, a primary rusher. Had only 446 pass rushing snaps, but as a primary pass rusher, he was very effective with 11 sacks, 52 pressures. But for run defense, he's not going to offer too much. He's a primary pass rusher, and as an edge setter, he's not necessarily going to set the edge. Even though he's 265 pounds, if it's a run play, he's not going to do well, or as well as some other edge rushers. But as a pure pass rusher, he's up there with one of the best, and that's why I have a 2nd round grade on him. But I think he could potentially go in the 1st round. But the problem with that is, like, you're drafting somebody who is a 2-down rusher, and doesn't offer too much as a run blocker. But then we move on to Braylon Trice, another solid guy out of Washington. Another bigger edge rusher. He's around 260 pounds. Where is Trice? And, whoa, there he is. 269 pounds, 6'4". He'll play the outside, or he'll play the 4-3 defensive end position. He had 8 sacks listed in 2021. I'm pretty sure he had 10 according to ESPN. According to ESPN, he had 10 sacks. PFF had him at 8. But Washington State game, he had 18 total pressures. Against Cal, he had 11, 68 total pressures. He's got great, powerful hands. That's kind of what defines him. It's getting into offensive lineman's frame early and then just pushing him back. Not the bendiest off the edge, obviously. We see that with bigger edge rushers like him at almost 270, where they're not going to use, they don't have those elite bends, but he's got a good chop, and he's very strong. Him and Fatui, both Wisconsin edge rusher, or both Washington edge rushers. Tuapaloa Fatui. Tuapaloa Fatui also has very strong hands. He's another strong edge rusher, similar to Braylon Trice. Massive step up from 2021, coming from 2 sacks to 8, multiplying his total pressures by 6. It was also a decent tackler. 34.2 missed tackle rate was okay, but 14 stops, doubling that from his 2021 campaign. Missed tackle rate did go up by a bit, though. However, like Braylon Trice a lot, have him similarly ranked to Leatu Latu. They're not too far apart. I just like Leatu Latu's bend more because kind of bend works better in the NFL. Bend and speed off the edge. We look at guys like Von Miller. We look at guys like, who else? JT Watt. I meant TJ Watt. And if we're talking about bend, we should be mentioning Chop Robinson. I'm not as high as a lot of other people on Chop Robinson. However, he didn't start for Penn State, but he put up a ton of production for them. Had something like 4 sacks in total. According to PFF, 4 sacks, 40 total pressures. But he wasn't an every down rusher, wasn't a starter, but still put up some pretty good production, and now he's going to start at Penn State. Transfer from Maryland, 90.1 or 91.6 pass rushing grade, 89.7 defensive grade, and 28 hurries, 4 sacks. The hits, everything will go up because he's going to be playing a lot more on Penn State this year. I have a 3rd round grade as of now, but the hype of him is increasing. He'll probably end up within maybe a late 1st round pick, and you can see, what the things that you can't see is that his bend on the stat sheet he's got great bend. He's quick off the line, and like him a lot. But I have a 3rd round grade on him just yet. We need to see what he does on a full season. Yo, what's up, Treem? How's it going? You got any questions about the NFL season 2024 NFL draft? We're just going over my big board as of now. I've got 105 total players. And we're just covering the edge rushers right now. In the last stream, we covered the offense. And this one, we're covering the defense. I forgot to talk about Jack Sawyer, too. Jack Sawyer is a jack linebacker. His first name is Jack, and he plays the jack linebacker position. So what the jack is, if you guys don't know, it's a edge rusher / linebacker that'll blitz the passer and also drop back into coverage. That's basically what Micah Parsons did in his rookie year. Then it became a primary edge rusher in 2022 when he rushed for like 88%. Jack Sawyer, productive enough to be one of the top guys on my board, but I would like to see him kind of pick his side. He's good enough on everything to where he is a good jack linebacker, but is he good enough to play one position in total? Because for me, I have a third round grade. I have a late second round grade on him right now, but I think we'll have to see a big increase from him of one of two things: either more pass rush snaps or just more coverage snaps in general. Because in 21 coverage snaps in 2022, he allowed no receptions in one target. And then in the pass rushing game, he had 3 sacks, 22 pressures, and only 3 missed tackles, which is a 12.5 missed tackle percentage. So not bad, but he does need more snaps. But Ohio State is going to probably give him some more because they did lose some edge rushers to the draft, and they have they play a 3-4. So he'll get some reps on the outside. He's another, how much is he possibly going to rise compared to some of the other guys? Because he'll either be looked as a strong side linebacker, where he will just play a stopper role or an edge setter role in an offense, because he's not the biggest guy at 260-6'4" to be on the line every snap, and he doesn't really play as big as someone like Braylon Trice or Tuapoloa Fatui. It'll be interesting to see how much they rush him, because that'll determine where he's seen as a draft pick. And then Akeem Mesidor out of Miami, and then Cedric Johnson, Ole Miss. These guys are just both 4-3 defensive ends. Cedric Johnson plays the 4-3, and Akeem Mesidor plays the 3-4. Mesidor is huge at 270-ish, 280 pounds. Where is he? Yeah, 6'3", 280 pounds. He'll be bumped inside of the NFL level. Decent production at Miami. I'm pretty sure he had 7 sacks. Mostly coming from interior pressure. Also another solid run defender. And that'll probably where he'll make his money in the NFL as a run defender. 86.5 run defensive grade. 87.1 total defensive grade. 8 sacks, 28 pressures. What that tells me is that from what I've seen, he doesn't generate the greatest amount of true pressure. As you can see, his top pressure rates were 4% at his best. But he had a crazy 4-sack game against Virginia Tech that put him on the map in 2022. But he'll make his money through his run defensive ability. He plays the 3-4 defensive end. It'll be wonder to see if he'll play the 3 tech at the next level, because he plays the 4 tech at Miami. They might want to bump him in some more. And then Cedric Johnson out of Ole Miss. Not the highest motor guy. Cedric Johnson, not the highest motor, but he gets it done. He got around 4 sacks and some decent pressure. Where is he? Pull up his stats. Out of Ole Miss. 36 pressures, 3 total sacks on ESPN. They listed him at 4, but the run defense and the missed tackle rate a little high. 17 stops in 2022 with 77.0 pass rushing grade. Highest pressures were 5 at Ole Miss. Then I have a 3rd round grade. He'll be selected probably 3rd or 4th round. In his couple of years in his 3 years of playing, he eclipsed 6 sacks at the most. But he'll likely be a rotational guy at the NFL level. Moving into the interior defensive line, I have Mason Smith and Jazon Newton as my 1 and 2. Mason Smith, Great all-around defensive lineman, has got good size, had a good year at LSU last year. Show you guys his stats. In 2021, sorry. In 2021 was his first season. Only played in one game after getting injured. And then in 2021, he had 4 sacks. But looking for a big year from Mason Smith. A lot of people have Jazon Newton as their number 1 interior defensive tackle out of Illinois. Now, this guy's a pure great run defender. He had 4 sacks. He had 4 sacks in 2022. Where is he? Jazon Newton. There he is. 91.2 run defending grade. He'll make his money in the NFL as a run defender. He can pop in there with a lot of interior pressure. Had 55, had a double-digit pressure game against Indiana in week 1. Chattanooga had 8 pressures. Virginia had 7. But he'll make his money in the NFL as a run defender. He'll play the 3-tech. He's not the biggest guy at 6'2", 295 pounds, but he'll be a good clogger. Reminds me of like, who's the Colts? Javon Dexter. The Colts interior offensive lineman. Grover Stewart. Reminds me of a bit of Grover Stewart from the Indianapolis Colts. Guy next to DeForest Buckner who just plugs the run, who can 2-gap. Where is he? A guy like Grover Stewart. Doesn't have the exact same build, as he's 2 inches smaller, about 20 pounds lighter, but similar production. Is a 2-gap player, and yeah, him and Mason Smith are my 1 and 2, and then Michael Hall Jr. at a close second. He's similar to Jazon Newton, except a bit of a better pass rusher, but a bit of a worse run defender. As you can see, slightly better pass rusher, 79.5 pass rushing grade compared to a 72.7 run defending grade. Had 5 sacks on the season, had a 3-sack game against Michigan State. Ohio State's got a good bunch of... They've got a lot of good rotational edge rushers on their list, like J.Z. Tuimalau, Michael Hall Jr., Jack Sawyer. And, you know, they've got a solid defense. Ty Hamilton at their nose tackle, Michael Hall, JT Tuimalau, Jack Sawyer, and then at their middle linebacker, they got Tommy Eichenberg, Denzel Burke on the outside. They've got a pretty okay defense. They've got a lot of draft-eligible players, so I think it's got to be their year. It's got to be Ohio State's year if they want to produce. And then you got Tyler Davis out of Clemson, 5.5 sacks. Solid nose tackle. I have him as my number 1 nose tackle in the draft right now. 5.5 sacks. Generates a good amount of pressure. Good against the run. Big defender at 300 pounds. And then Leonard Taylor II, I have also very highly out of Miami. 7 sacks? Nope. Leonard Taylor. Had 4 sacks, 25 total pressures, 85.5 pass rushing grade. He was one of the top 15 for PFF. And then you have Dante Corleone out of Cincinnati. He is really young. He only has played 1 year of football. He's in his redshirt sophomore season. It's very possible he reclasses, and I think he will. I think because if he reclasses, he'll probably be the #1 defensive tackle in next year's draft. Like him a lot. He's a big guy, man. 320 pounds, 6'2". Really good clogger. Generates a good amount of pressure. I have a 3rd-round grade in him right now because he's only had 1 year of production. But if he puts up another really good year of production, even if he reclasses too, he has a good chance to jump up to be one of my top defensive tackles in next year's class. But moving on to... Oh, no, I forgot Tyleik Williams. Tyleik Williams, rotational nose tackle. He'll be solid, but I don't see him jumping up higher than a 3rd-round grade. And then Rook Orhoro, another solid guy at Clemson. 6'4", 296 pounds. Older guy. He's around 23, 24 years old by when the draft rolls around. Also had some decent production at Clemson, like 4 sacks, something like that. But moving on to one of the better units in the entire draft, you've got the interior linebacker class with Jeremy Trotter Jr. and Barrett Carter, that Clemson duo. Jeremy Trotter Jr., really, really, really solid Mike. He plays around very well. Good, really good in the pass game as well. Jeremiah Trotter. Where is he? So last year he played the weak side. As you can see. Played in the box a lot. But 87.9 pass cover grade and an 87.6 pass rushing grade. Now, what you want to see more or less of is his missed tackles, 11 in 542 snaps. As he did play the weak side, he was asked to cover a lot more, covering a lot of slot guys. But what I really like to see is his 40.7 pass rushing or passer rating allowed against. Really, really solid. 3 PBUs, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble. On 21 targets, he allowed 14 catches, 144 total yards. His longest was 28. Jeremy Trotter Jr., really, really solid pass cover linebacker. And he'll probably play the weak side at the NFL level as he's only 6 foot, 225 pounds. But he plays the Mike at Clemson. And yeah, that goes for my #1 guy. And then my #2 guy is Barrett Carter, another weak side linebacker. He's another really solid cover linebacker. Obviously not as good as Jeremy Trotter Jr. in coverage, but with that, he is similar in missed tackle rate with 15.3. Not as good as a pass coverer, but a better pass rusher. 20 total pressures, 4 sacks. Gave up a little higher passer rating at 75.9, but that's still a very good passer rating allowed. And he is my #2 guy. Another weak side linebacker, in my opinion. 6'1", 225 pounds. He's got good speed off in reacting to the ball. Tommy Eichenberg, tackle monster out of Ohio State. He'll probably profile most as a Mike linebacker, as he's 6'2", 239 pounds. Senior, he's got that experience. Loves the experience with linebackers. Cedric Gray was PFF's 2nd highest rated linebacker that is currently still in college football. He's another very solid all-around guy out of UNC. There spells last name. Cedric Gray. UNC Tar Heels. 83.0 total defensive grade. Run defensive grade of 83.8. Tackle grade. Had a 10% missed tackle rate with 15 missed tackles. Had a 85.0 passer rating allowed with 2 interceptions, 3 PBUs, 4 forced fumbles, and 102 total tackles according to PFF. Tackle machine, including with 1 sack. Oh my god. My fault, everybody. But solid all-around guy. He'll probably play. He'll probably play the weak side, either the weak side or the mic at the NFL level. I have a second round grade in him right now. The only thing that I would like to see more of is his coverage to get back to where it was. Very solid in 2021 in his first year starting. 46.6 passer rating allowed. 0 touchdowns on him with the same interceptions. And allowed a lot less yards as he was targeted much more in 2022. And then his missed tackle rate improving is a really good sign. But there are a lot of good linebackers in this class. Omar Spates and Jamon Dumar Johnson. Spates, super old guy. He's around going to be like 24 when the draft rolls around. He's grad student at this point. He'll be a grad student as he transferred to LSU over the offseason. But we'll start with Jamas Dumar Johnson. He's listed on the Georgia scheme as a money linebacker, which is a do-it-all linebacker. He'll rush the passer, blitz the A gap. He'll bump back into coverage. He'll play the slot receiver. He'll play against the run on the strong side. He'll play on the outside to set the edge. He's a do-it-all linebacker, and that's good because he's 245 pounds, 6'1", younger guy as well, but really fast. Dumas Johnson's a very solid linebacker. And then Omar Spades is more of a tackle guy, more of a run-defending linebacker. Jackson Mitchell, out of UConn, very, very unknown linebacker, because he is from UConn, and UConn isn't a good school, as they went like 6-7 in 2023. But another guy, over 100 tackles, had a few sacks, had a few interceptions, a few forced fumbles. All around really solid linebacker, very underrated that a lot of people don't know. 77.9 total PFF grade, and is basically all around. 84.5 passer rating allowed. That bumped up a lot from 2022. No touchdowns allowed on him, 1 interception. He had 2 forced fumbles. He had 5 sacks, 16 pressures. All around a good linebacker that I have in the 4th round as a developmental guy. And then you have Samel Modern Jr. out of Georgia. Another solid linebacker out of Georgia. He'll play the weak side for Georgia in 2021. And then Junior Colson, last guy, Mike linebacker out of Michigan. Didn't play a bunch in 2022, but he'll likely get the start as the Mike linebacker at Michigan. I have a 5th round grade in him right now. We'll have to see how he performs in 2023. That'll be the main concern where he goes. The cornerback class, I don't have the best thoughts about the cornerback class. I think it's very up to debate right now whether who is the cornerback 2 all the way until cornerback 5. I have a few guys that I like and a few guys that I dislike more than others. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I like a lot. He's good length at cornerback. He's a little thin, but it seems like thinner cornerbacks aren't that big of a problem in the current day NFL landscape. He jars the ball loose a lot. He had multiple pass deflections, 1 interception. He's got good footwork as well. At my top 10 prospects, he was my 6th highest prospect so far in the 2024 NFL draft. I have a mid-first round grade projected for him right now. The second best cornerback I have is Cooper DeJean. Now, Cooper DeJean, the thing about him is he'll likely won't play cornerback at the NFL level. He doesn't have quite the athletic profile of an NFL cornerback. He's, how do I say this? It's kind of a stigma in the NFL that you can't be a white cornerback and play at an elite level. We kind of saw it last year where Iowa had another solid white cornerback that was drafted as a 3rd rounder in 2023 that had a similar build that in, where is he? Riley Moss. That and Riley Moss. Riley Moss was a really solid cornerback at Iowa and is transitioning to safety at the NFL level for the Broncos. But Cooper DeJean, very highly graded for Iowa, had a good amount of production, 6'1", 209, and is 21 years old, junior. He's good enough. I don't think he'll quite be looked at the next level as a cornerback, but I have him as a safety for the most part, because I think that's kind of where he's going to be placed in the NFL level. And I think he'll thrive there. He's a very, very solid in coverage. Very good overall. And I have him at 2 because I have him safer than Denzel Burke and Fentrell Cyphers and Kayleen King. The thing about the cornerback class is a lot of these guys, they're not the greatest at like one particular thing like last year's class was. I have a ton of third-round grades. Like Denzel Burke, he's solid. He'll play on the boundary at the outside level. And he's a likely first-round grade. But he's not super great at defending the red zone. In the college football playoffs, he allowed 2 touchdowns in the championship game. He allowed 2 touchdowns in total. Where is it? They're not showing the game against... Oh, wait, no, that's because I have regular and not regular and postseason. As you can see, allowed a touchdown in the national championship game. The other one wasn't counted on him, but it was closed his zone. He took a step back in 2022 from his really, really good 2021 NFL season. He had a 58.3 in 2021, yet in 2022 it doubled to 110. His reception rate allowed, and less targets allowed a higher reception rate. 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, less PBUs, more missed tackles in less snaps, as he did play a few less games due to, I'm pretty sure, he had an injury early on in the season, missing weeks 11 and missing weeks 4, and his missed tackle rate, 19.5, don't like to see that with corners, especially with him having better size at the position at 6'1", 190 pounds. And then you have Fentrell Cyphers, transfer to FSU. He's a solid man cornerback, bump and run guy. Kaylee King's another guy who a lot of people like and that I don't like as much. The thing about Kaylee King, not super fast. He'll get burned pretty often. Look at his tape against Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously it's Marvin Harrison, but he gets burned quite often. Not the best at getting into position after a receiver makes a cut. Josh Newton, TCU, very highly graded guy, but not the biggest. At 6 foot, 195 pounds. Senior, older guy. Kamari Lassiter, very not highly looked at, or he's looked very highly at by mock draft people, but not by PFF. And Lassiter played on the outside and he played in the slot next to Keely Ringo. Keely Ringo couldn't play man coverage to save his life. But Kamari Lassiter could play a little bit better. Not the best, not the heaviest guy, 180 pounds. It'll probably look a lot worse when it gets to combine level. But 419 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 2 PBUs. Doesn't play the ball well enough. And I have him lower down the board. Jason Marshall, another really solid guy out of Florida. And then Chris Adams-Durant out of Missouri. Had an injury season last year, but was a freshman All-American in 2021. And then Jason Marshall is a guy that PFF likes a lot, but the draft community is still catching up on. He's a second-round grade for some people. I have him as a fourth-round grade out of Florida right now. And then moving on to the last part of the stream is going to be the safety position with Kalen Bullock and then Kamari Kitchens, my 2 highest graded safeties. I think the safety class is really, really, really good. Because you got Kalen Bullock, production monster. He also has phenomenal NFL size at 6'3". And then you have Kamar Kitchens, who just has instinct like crazy, man. Both these players had insane production. Caleb Bullock, 6'3", 190, junior, 5 interceptions, 6 PBUs. Kamar Kitchens. No, Bullock had like 6 picks. Kitchens had 5. Or Carmen Kitchens. Yep. 5 interceptions, 4 PBUs. Really nice production. 80.9 coverage grade, 86.1 tackle grade, 6.9 nice missed tackle rate. 4 missed tackles on the year. That improved from his 2021 numbers. Really like to see that. And then Carmen Kitchens, another super sick cornerback, especially with his production and his instincts. Where is he? Here he is. 90.7 coverage grade. 6 interceptions, 4 PBUs. That's awesome production. 221 total yards allowed, 2 touchdowns. And the only thing that is a problem is his missed tackle rate. Jumped up insanely high, 14 missed tackles compared to 5 and 9.6. If that comes down, Carmen Kitchens can be looked at for me as possibly the number 1 cornerback. But Kalen Bullock is super solid. And then Javon Bullard out of Georgia, another really good cornerback. He'll play the strong safety position. James Williams, freak athlete, and also he has incredible build at 6'5", 224 pounds. He'll be more of a box guy than a free safety, in my opinion. Him playing free safety, or him playing strong safety at Miami, not Florida. James Williams. These 2 guys, or these 4, I really like a lot for the safety class. Andrew Makuba out of Clemson, solid. Malachi Moore, he plays the slot and the safety position as more of a cover cornerback. He was looked at really highly last offseason, as he could potentially come into the draft class. Was an All-American as a freshman at Alabama, and then kind of fell off from there. Hasn't replicated as productive of a season as his freshman season and sophomore season. Cole Beasley, solid safety out of Utah. Jalen Catalon just can't nag the injury bug. He's had 2 lost seasons due to that. Transferring to Texas from Arkansas, hopefully have a good year. And then Damani Richardson, another solid safety. Love the safety class. And that's going to do it for me. We'll talk about football whenever you guys, hopefully we'll get a stream back in another couple of days. I probably won't stream tomorrow. I'll probably start working on something else. That'll be it.